So this would be my game plan for how New South Wales, I think, should win Origin 3 and can win Origin 3 here. We've obviously do have a few changes to the squad, which we'll just quickly run through. And I just want to give you my 3 points on how I think New South Wales can get the job done. I'm a New South Wales supporter, so I follow them a lot closer than I do Queensland. So I just wanted to focus on New South Wales only and what they can do to win. I hope you guys like this video. So the changes that are made, we've obviously got Selwyn Cobbo on the wing now and Val Holmes. So he's moved from centre out to wing, and then Dane Gagai comes back into the Origin arena where he has done so many good things, but that is the big change there. And then Kirk Capewell comes in for Jaden Sewer in the second row, and then they've got their X Factor now, extra X Factor in Kalen Ponga on the interchange bench. And for the Blues, they do have Mitch Barnett coming in for Olakwatu. They weren't able to use Hamole well enough, I think, so Barnett comes in as a guy that can cover edge, but also is a really, really good middle at the moment. Cameron Murray was a massive in game 2, and he becomes that really important factor here in game 3. And then Bradman Best comes in for Latrell, which is obviously Latrell's a big loss, but Bradman Best can definitely be serviceable and do great in the Origin arena. He's done it once before. So let's get into my thoughts here. So we set the scene for game 3. New South Wales they just don't win deciders in Queensland. It's been shown for a long time there, and the mountain's really high, obviously, but New South Wales have been the better team this series objectively based on the stats and how they performed with one man down and how they performed last game there as well. So it does move to Queensland though, and as we said, that's a very, very difficult place to win a game of footy as a New South Wales player and team. So as I said, the changes from game 2, we just went through them. It's the Queensland edge combinations with Capewell as one edge, and then the centres and the wingers has changed definitely as well. The Ponga X Factor is there, / some cover in the outside backs, which they were really lacking in game 2 when they happened to lose Hamiso. And then they've got Latrell out on the New South Wales side, which is tough, and then Barnett comes in, as I said. So number one, guys, I think they have to play the power game. As I said, I'm speaking directly about New South Wales. They are bigger and stronger, and they've shown that in the first 2 games. And obviously Latrell coming out of that hurts them a little bit, but I'm talking a little bit more through the middle and also the edge, the second row players. So it's really led by Payne Haas in the middle with Cam Murray with his quick play the balls as well, Angus Crichton, and then Liam Martin on the left and the right edge there. So New South Wales has an incredible roll forward through the middle and that edge, leading to those PCMs, the post-contact meters, which is so important there. And add speed as well. It's dragging that defensive line back, which creates a little bit of hysteria with those quick play the balls as well and getting that defensive line right. So in this scenario here, especially on the edges, the defense must commit more defenders to Angus Crichton there, for example, which opens up space for those outside attackers on that left-hand side, specifically in Luai, Best, and To'o. What we saw on the right side was a little bit more of an aerial threat with Lomax, and then defensively they were really, really sound with Stephen Crichton there, and then Moses switching, moving from left to right a little bit, but spending a lot more time on his right side with his kicking game. Is more what you saw on the right side, and that left-hand side, a lot of the power game has been used through that left-hand side, and I think that's definitely a spot they should be targeting, heading into, continuing into pushing into a win in this game. So very, very strict, simple game plan as well is to go through the middle and through those edges. And what that does is actually create a bit of hysteria, as I said there. So we'll get into the second point, which is actually to play with poise. So in this game here in game 3, if New South Wales were to get overwhelmed by the crowd, by the occasion, it's going to put them in too tough a position, in my opinion, to win this match there. You've got the completion rates and the long kicking game need to be really strong and really high. And that's going to nullify this problem. Because if you're getting those things right, everyone's a little bit more calm. There's usually going to be, you're not likely to have a couple of tries put on you in quick succession as well, which creates a bit of panic and a bit of worry and a lack of confidence in this side, which is what they definitely don't need coming off a good win, is to be punched in the face really early. A couple of tries go against them, and they're on the back foot, and they've lost a little bit of that confidence. So the power game isn't flashy, which I think is really going to help with keeping the completion rates high, which they have across the first couple of games there, especially last game was awesome. And they're able to get to their long kicking game. If they're doing really well, getting quick play the balls. They're getting to at least to halfway in a set, potentially the 40, and then they can kick down just before the try line, obviously, and then just focus on their defense, which is going to be really important there. So as I said, it is just about playing what the defense gives you once you're on a roll without taking major risk, right? This is going to be the biggest game of a bunch of players' careers. Can they step up and take control? So what you're doing there in this section there is we're talking about attacking the new combinations, right? So you play the power game, you play with poise, and that can create a little bit of that hysteria, which is going to be the biggest thing. And what New South Wales really struggle with is just Queensland going bang, bang, bang with tries, and our defensive line just being completely out of whack. There's no communication. So I think by incorporating the above 2 points, defensive communication for Queensland will be tested with their new edge combinations on both sides. They've had this training camp to get through all of that and to work through all of that. A lot of them have played together and in this arena before, which is helpful. Capewell's been there, whether it's centre or in the back row. You've had Gagai coming back, and he's played a tremendous amount of origins. You've obviously had Val in there for a long time, but in a new position now, and we know that he's pretty solid on the wing there. So it's not going to be a crazy big change for Queensland, but the way that New South Wales can create a bit of that panic, as I said, is through testing out those edge combinations. But that's through quick play the balls, and New South Wales need to take what they're given by the defense, whether there's going to be an up and in, a jam type of defense on the edges, whether they're sliding, and they need to react accordingly. And I've got a few counter moves there that I think, and obviously all the different options that New South Wales can have. And if they actually are just taking what they're given, maybe they see one type of defensive play. And I listened to Josh Morris talk about defense, and he would give a different look each time. So it was one time he'd jam up and in, the next time he'd slide and hang back, and he'd just give a different look. And that's what you need to do defensively. But a lot of players aren't. Well, they don't have that ability. They have one decision in their mind. They're going to defend this way, and you can exploit that as an attacker. And if they do decide to jam up and in, then it might be that short kicking game in behind, which really worked in game 2. It might be that floating pass over the top, which we saw a bunch of times on the weekend with Jaden Campbell's, for example, there. Just a quick and easy one. Just waited for the defense to make the move first and then make his decision, which was really helpful. And we've got the players in Luai and in Moses to really be able to do that well. Exactly that. So they also have the high balls on the right hand side to Lomax, which is really, really helpful. Because they've got some worries about guys like Angus Crichton, you could also have Bradman Best coming back on an angle. If they're sliding and then hitting certain gaps, you can go to Crichton there on that left-hand side. You can go to Liam Martin, which we end up with a try in game 2. Through that kind of opened things up at the beginning of that game, and they finally hit a nice line and went short rather than going to side to side, which Moses, when he's not playing his best, tends to fall into side to side. If they can just focus on going forward, hitting those edge players at different angles, then once they've done that a couple of times, go out the back to Bradman Best and go, quick pass, or they float one over the top, depending on what the defense gives you. And if you're playing with that poise that I was talking about, the power game through the middle, through those edges, it tires out their defensive line in terms of being able to have a lot of energy and speed up out of the line, which just drops the amount of time that the playmakers have. So if you get to a stage where you haven't used that power game and tired out the middles and obviously the edges there defensively, they'll be able to shoot up out of the line, and they'll really be able to stop all these counter moves, or your ability as a half or as an attacking playmaker to have the time to see what the defense does and then react accordingly. That's the beauty of a fast defensive line coming out at you, is that it really reduces your options and your ability to read the defense first. They're just in your face and they're all up in a line together, and deciding what to do. It's a quick second, quick half second that you've got to actually make that decision. So I think that this here and being able to get this right comes off the back of the other 2 points. So just wanted to keep it fairly simple, because that's what you need to do coming to Queensland there. You can't get too fancy, because if it doesn't pay off straight away, which a lot of these, if you are going to be risky straight up, it's usually like a 20-25% chance of working out. And yes, it can work, and you could blow a team out of the water at the start, but they're going to have counter moves as well, right? So it's a small percentage chance of it working out perfectly. And if it doesn't, usually it puts you well on the back foot. You're probably down a couple of tries by this point because you've made errors and you're panicking a little bit. It's going to be a packed stadium. It's going to mainly be Queensland fans. It's going to be a tough, raucous arena, that's for sure. And you know the Queensland are going to come to play. You know this for sure. So I think patience is going to win this game. They can't force their plays. They're just got to let things happen. And if their game plan is in full effect and they have the players to be able to affect this game plan, if that works out, I think that New South Wales are going to be right. As I said, players will be nervous with everything on the line. So you've got to expect Queensland to come out with way more energy and fire and determination than they did in Game 2. And New South Wales must be ready for that. They must be ready for that first punch, and it's going to come. It won't come anywhere near as easy as it did for them in Game 2, that's for sure. They need to be ready for that. They need to not panic, because you can see it straight away. If you watch enough of these Origins, if you watch enough footy in general, you can tell when a team is worried. You can tell when a team has been, punched in the face, and they're reacting according to that. And it's the reaction a lot of time is with riskier plays and trying to score on that next play. New South Wales have a game plan. They're strong enough through the middle, stronger than Queensland in my opinion, on the edges as well, especially when you're playing K-ball. You don't have like a David Fafita in there who could be bigger and stronger, or match it with someone like Angus Crichton. We know how Liam Martin plays. Those two players have been close to our New South Wales best this whole series. And Payne Haas is going to have a big game. Cam Murray's going to have a big game. You've got Connor Watson and Isaiah Yeo, Mitch Barnett coming off the bench, and they're going to continue with that fire and those quick play the balls. And it's just going to be relentless all game. So if you can, and Spencer Leniu, didn't even mention him, these type of guys are going to come on, push through the middle, find little gaps, get quick play the balls, and it's going to be relentless all game. New South Wales should be able to overpower Queensland in that way. And if they do that and they do these things right, they kick, they got the long kicking game, the nice kicking game of Mitch Moses. Luai's been really, really good this year. They've got terrific outside backs. The team is very, very complete. Even without Latrell Mitchell, the team is very well complete. I think they have the better team. If you're looking on the Queensland side of things, they have DCE, right? He's the big ticket. They've got Ben Hunt. These types of guys especially are such big game players, and we've seen it. The outside backs for their teams, they've been there. They've done it for a long period of time. These guys can come out. They've been in the big moments. A lot of these guys have won grand finals. They've been there, and they could definitely come out and win it with their smarts. They can win it in different ways. They can win it if New South Wales make mistakes. They can win it through just their sheer ability. Reece Walsh, Kalen Ponga, these types of guys. DCE, as I said, with the kicking game. Does Heave live up to the moment more than Moses? Does Ben Hunt overpower Robson, who's looked really, really consistent and comfortable over the last few years? But how does that go in what is considered a grand final here? Origin game 3 in Queensland. There's lots of different ways for Queensland to win. But personally, as a New South Wales fan, I have more confidence now than most of my life watching this team. Obviously, they lost so many in a row there when Queensland just had a better side and better poise, better leaders, guys that have won grand finals, right? So can New South Wales come out and can they deliver? I definitely think they can. I think it's going to be incredible. Game 3 in Queensland. It's probably going to be the closest final in a while. I'm not expecting it to be a high scoring affair. And I think that New South Wales should come out not expecting that either. If they can get things right, they can definitely come out and win this game and put on some points because they have the firepower. Queensland has the firepower as well. If they're able to complete well, I think it's going to be tough for New South Wales to really come out and dominate this game. But it's going to be a super close one. I'm predicting and hoping. I'm going to be tipping Queensland just for the stats. The stats say they should win. But I think New South Wales have the better team. I'm going to tip them to win I'm going to pick them to win 18-14 in this one, and that's what I'm hoping for. Tipping Queensland on the other side of it. But I do think New South Wales have a really good chance to win. And my mind says go the stats way, but my heart says go for New South Wales and an 18-14 victory. I hope this was fun for you guys, whether you're listening on podcast or whether you're able to watch this here. I appreciate that. You guys are absolute legends. And let me know what you thought on these 3 things, just from a New South Wales perspective. And it is my opinion as to how I think a game plan should be played out to keep it really simple and not, overawe the New South Wales players. Let me know what you would do if there's anything different. And as I said, guys, it's all a bit of an opinion. I know people get right into their origin. So play nice in the comments to each other and to myself as always. And thanks so much for being here. I hope that was helpful and you had fun with it. Good luck tonight for New South Wales. And I hope you guys have a cracking evening yourselves watching.